Now, Dan Paris is going to show us a location that is close to his heart in Esperance, southwest WA.
Well, this is Up, and it's about 70 k's west of Esperance. And it's also the very last chance for me to stock up on supplies before we get to the unknown. Now, I've got fuel, I've got water, I've got bait, all the ingredients that I'm going to need to have a really good time. Past this point, there's 66 k's of bitumen, then the track deteriorates, and it's at that very same point that my adventure is going to begin. Well, I talked about at some point there'd be adventure, and this is exactly where it starts. This is the beginning of the Israelite Bight track, and it's also the way out to the cliffs. Now, there's a bit of a courtesy to do first. It's actually a safety technique as well. We're going to let our tyres down. In my case, I'm going to let them down to 20 psi. But to be safe, they say a general gauge is about 16 psi. If you go under that, there's a chance that you might roll your tyre off your rim. You can if you're in extreme circumstances. But the reason we do it is to get over the soft sand, and it also helps preserve the track. It reduces the development of those nasty corrugations. Right here is where things start to get a bit more interesting. Now, there's a pretty large pothole that I'm about to go through. I don't have any options, so I guess the thing is safe, not sorry. So I'm going to crawl through in second gear low range. Oh, fingers crossed all the paintwork's still there when we get through. And here we go. Now, I'd imagine come winter time, a hole like this would be almost impassable. Oh, there's the underside. But this time of year, well, it's just a bunch of fun really, isn't it? Finally come to the end of the Israelite track, and we're only 6 k's from the campsite, which is just past this lake. Now, this is Dariing Dalla lake, and it's actually a beautiful, dramatic change in the landscape. There's been a little bit of rain around lately, and you can see a few puddles, which is why I've just had a quick walk to test the surface. And it shouldn't be fooled. It looks hard, but there's often a 2-inch crust, and underneath that, absolutely nothing but a wet slurry, so you can get easily stuck. Nonetheless, it's an absolutely beautiful spot, and it's a chance to have a look around. On the 7th of December at 7 p.m, 1877. I reckon there would have been a mighty celebration. Now, this is one of the most significant features here on my trip. It's the Israelite Bight Telegraph station. And the reason it was such a celebration is because it opened up Western Australia to the eastern states. Not only the eastern states, but it opened it up to the rest of the world. And as you can see, it's a beautiful building. It's absolutely majestic. It's worth having a look around. Let's go. The station was completed in 1896, and at its peak, this remote settlement was home to 150 people. Today, some of the ruins in the area have been restored to the comfort of the professional fishermen who use them as a shelter while the season's underway. This is Brooks's cottage. I think its nickname was Glencoe, and it was built back in 1883. And as you can see, it's only just still standing. It's probably a bit rickety, but it's really photogenic. Absolutely beautiful little old part of history right here. Let's have a look. It's almost a little bit eerie. Well, I'm going to call it, these campsites here at Israelite Bight, some of the finest in Australia. Heaps of space to throw your gear around. There's some beautiful shelter under these trees, and what a way to start the day. I was down there at sunrise taking a photo of the old ruins, the old historic jetty. Absolutely beautiful. Today, a bit excited, there's some wonderful adventure ahead, and we're off to some of the tallest sand dunes in the world, which is also the beginning of the Great Australian Bight. So I've made sure the camera batteries are charged, because that camera's going to get a workout today. Now from here, there's two ways to travel. The easiest is along the beach, but it's a shocker for getting bogged, so the tide needs to be well out. The better option, I think, is to follow the old telegraph line. The further I travel, it seems the more I'm finding, and here's another great piece of history. You see, the telegraph poles ahead constitute all that's left of Western Australia's first link to the rest of the world. External news took anything up to 3 weeks to reach Perth. And the opening of this line from Albany to Eucla meant that news was now a same-day event. Do you know what's really special about it out here? As you walk around, you're still finding the old porcelains, the wire, the poles. Could be over 100 years old. It's all here, it's just wonderful. The terrain out here is so contrasting. I mean, here's the Bill Bunya Dunes to my right. The Wiley Scarp alongside it I'm driving on here on the left, and this track was all burnt out 2 years ago. It's absolutely stunning now. It's just a lush regrowth. It's going to be a wonderful camp. It's about 10 k's up the road, that's where we're heading. Yep, I feel some toe-tapping music coming on because I'm only seconds from hitting some of the most dramatic, perfectly remote coastline in all of this country. And here it is, the main event. These massive cliffs behind me are the beginning of one of Australia's biggest icons. This is the Great Australian Bight. These magnificent cliffs reach 60 metres high, and unless you're actually standing at their base, it's almost impossible to describe the feeling. Out here there's no one, just me and the crew. It's isolated, it's challenging, and more than anything, there's scenery here I won't find anywhere else. Well, I made it to my spot and I've set up camp, and in the distance I could see these absolutely massive dunes. I couldn't resist, get down here, see if the sun's going to set on them and grab a photo. One of the great things about landscape photography is you don't always get what you want. And in this case, I think I've missed it. But tomorrow, I'm a bit excited. These bad boys, I'm going to get the sandboards, I'm going flying down them. It's going to be packed with adventure. Looking forward to it. I remember the first time I set eyes on the Bill Bunya Dunes. In the distance, they look like snow-capped mountains, but as beautiful as they are, they're also heaps of fun. These guys here, the tallest sand dunes in the Southern Hemisphere. Never done this before. Hope it doesn't end badly. Okay, I admit, I'm not up to standing just yet. Come on! But if I could get back up the top without nearly dying, I reckon I could do this all day. That was awesome. That beats walking. Oh, okay, so what's happened here is I've done something stupid. Tried to make a track out of these dunes here back to the beach. I've come up on this ridge, seen that it drops off really dramatically. Done a lefty, it's got really soft. I've gone forward, I've sunk, tried to reverse back. Now the whole car is starting to crab walk towards the edge here. I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but if I go any further, I'll roll down the hill. Bumped into Guy, my best mate. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good mate, how are you?
Good fishing today, mate. I'm going to need you to help pull me out. I guess the first thing is to hook up the snatchy.
Sounds like a good plan.
All right, so we don't need to put too much weight behind this tow. I guess, what, this 8,000 pounder here?
Yeah, it'll be fine, and the shackle.
Cool. Okay, first thing, I'll just give Guy a bit of that. One of the biggest tips I can give you is to not hook straight onto your tow ball, because if that breaks, which it quite often does, that becomes a missile and it's a major danger. Best thing to do is to pull your pin out, a bit of salt water in this, take out your hitch, poke that through, that way, pin goes back in, and you're away, and that's really solid. How you going, mate? What's happening here?
Yeah, good. Just making sure we got all the twists out of the line.
Yeah,
beauty. That was the first thing.
Yep.
And then we'll hook up the shackle to the tie point on the front of the vehicle.
So you got a few under there?
Yeah, there's a few there.
Oh, no worries. You can pull 4 cars out at once, by the looks. All right, so they're heavy-duty shackles, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice and strong.
So everything
tie
is,
points front and rear. Beautiful.
Everything is pretty solid. There's nothing that's going to come flying off, so
looks
fingers
pretty good.
crossed, mate. I reckon we just about pull her out.
Sounds good.
Talk to you on the two-way.
Okay, Dan, you ready?
Yeah, I am, Guy. You go for it.
All right, mate.
If you were only to pack one piece of recovery equipment when four-wheel driving, the snatch strap wins hands down. 9 times out of 10, it's got me out of trouble, and to be honest, usually does it first go. Mate, you made it look easy, thanks.
No worries.
That's great, guy. Thanks for that, mate.
Too easy.
All right, good luck on the beach tonight.
All right, no worries.
Well done, Hook. The fishing along this stretch of coastline is considered some of the finest on the south coast. Mulloway, pink snapper, salmon, they're all here. Bring it in on this wave. How's that? Southern Australian salmon, 2 or 3 pounds, that one. Here at the Great Australian Bight, right at the base. It's got something to eat now. This is beautiful, isn't it? There we go. Oh, he's having a jump. Oh, look at that. Another. That's a beautiful 2 or 3 pound Australian salmon. I said I'd be back for a fish this afternoon, and I'm really glad I did. Isn't this just the perfect way to cap off what has been a pretty awesome adventure? An adventure in every sense of the word. It may be only 5 or so hours back to civilization, but because it's so far removed out here and it hasn't been developed, you really do feel very free. And yes, the responsibility of your safety lies with you, but with a little planning and some common sense, this area is perfectly accessible by almost anyone who chooses to visit. If you do, I guarantee you'll return with memories that last a lifetime.